On this day in history, January 13th. On January 13, 1815, during the War of 1812, British forces captured Fort Peter in St. Mary's, Georgia. This engagement was notable as the only battle of the war fought in Georgia. Despite the Treaty of Ghent being signed on December 24, 1814, officially ending the war, news had not yet reached the combatants, leading to continued skirmishes like this one. On January 13, 1822, the First National Assembly at Epidaurus adopted the design of the Greek flag. This decision was a significant step in symbolizing Greek independence and unity during the Greek War of Independence against Ottoman rule. On January 13, 1833, U.S. President Andrew Jackson wrote to Vice President-elect Martin Van Buren, expressing his firm opposition to South Carolina's defiance of federal authority during the nullification crisis. Jackson's stance reinforced the federal government's position against states' attempts to nullify federal laws. On January 13, 1840, the steamship Lexington caught fire and sank 4 miles off the coast of Long Island. The disaster resulted in the loss of 139 lives and was one of the deadliest maritime tragedies in American history at that time. On January 13, 1842, Dr. William Brittain, an assistant surgeon in the British East India Company Army, became famous as the sole survivor of a retreating column of 4,500 soldiers and 12,000 camp followers. He reached the safety of a garrison in Jalalabad, Afghanistan, during the First Anglo-Afghan War, highlighting the perils faced by British forces. On January 13, 1888, the National Geographic Society was founded in Washington, D.C. The organization aimed to increase and diffuse geographic knowledge and has since become renowned for its explorations and publications. On January 13, 1893, the Independent Labour Party of the United Kingdom held its first meeting. The party was established to represent the interests of the working class and played a significant role in the development of British socialism. On January 13, 1893, U.S. Marines from the USS Boston landed in Honolulu, Hawaii. Their presence was intended to prevent Queen Liliuokalani from abrogating the Bayonet Constitution, leading to significant political changes in Hawaii. On January 13, 1895, during the First Italo-Ethiopian War, the Battle of Kodet took place. It was the opening battle of the war and resulted in an Italian victory, setting the stage for further conflicts between Italy and Ethiopia. On January 13, 1898, French writer Émile Zola published J'accuse. This open letter exposed the Dreyfus Affair, accusing the French government of anti-Semitism and wrongful imprisonment of Alfred Dreyfus, sparking widespread public debate. On January 13, 1900, to combat Czech nationalism, Emperor Franz Joseph decreed that German would be the language of the Austro-Hungarian armed forces. This decision aimed to centralize and unify the military under a single language. On January 13, 1915, a devastating earthquake with a magnitude of 6.7 struck the province of L'Aquila in Italy. Known as the Avezzano earthquake, it reached a maximum Mercalli intensity of 11 extreme and resulted in the deaths of approximately 30,000 people. On January 13, 1920, the Reichstag bloodbath occurred in Berlin, Germany. It was the bloodiest demonstration in German history, with numerous protesters killed during clashes with security forces. On January 13, 1942, industrialist Henry Ford patented a car made partially from soybeans. This innovative vehicle was approximately 30% lighter than a regular car, showcasing Ford's interest in alternative materials. On January 13, 1942, during World War II, a German test pilot made the first use of an aircraft ejection seat. The test was conducted in a Heinkel He-280 jet fighter, marking a significant advancement in pilot safety technology. On January 13, 1950, Finland formed diplomatic relations with the People's Republic of China, becoming one of the first Western countries to officially recognize the new Chinese government. On January 13, 1951, during the First Indochina War, the Battle of Vinh Yên began. This significant confrontation between French forces and the Viet Minh marked a turning point in the conflict, with the French securing a strategic victory. On January 13, 1953, the Soviet newspaper Pravda published an article accusing prominent doctors, predominantly Jews, of conspiring to poison Soviet political and military leaders. This event, known as the Doctors' Plot, intensified anti-Semitic sentiments in the USSR. On January 13, 1966, Robert C. Weaver was appointed as the United States Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, becoming the first African American to serve in a U.S. cabinet position. This marked a historic milestone in American civil rights and governance. On January 13, 1968, Johnny Cash performed live at Folsom State Prison in California. The recording of this performance became a highly acclaimed album, At Folsom Prison, revitalizing Cash's career and showcasing his connection with the struggles of marginalized individuals. On January 13, 1972, Ghanaian Prime Minister Kofi Abrefa-Buesha and President Edward Akufo-Addo were ousted in a bloodless military coup led by Colonel Ignatius Kutu Achiampong. The coup ended Ghana's Second Republic, ushering in a period of military rule. On January 13, 1978, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, mandated that all blood donations be labeled as coming from either paid or volunteer donors. This regulation aimed to improve blood donation safety and reduce the risk of transfusion-transmitted infections. On January 13, 1990, Douglas Wilder was inaugurated as the governor of Virginia, becoming the first African American to be elected governor in the United States. This was a landmark moment in American political history. On January 13, 1991, Soviet troops attacked pro-independence demonstrators in Vilnius, Lithuania. This violent crackdown, known as the January events, resulted in 14 deaths and around 1,000 injuries, strengthening international support for Lithuania's independence movement. On January 13, 1993, Space Shuttle Endeavour launched on mission STS-54 from Kennedy Space Center. The mission's objectives included deploying a tracking and data relay satellite and conducting scientific experiments. On January 13, 1993, the Chemical Weapons Convention, CWC, was signed in Paris by numerous nations. This treaty aimed to eliminate chemical weapons worldwide and prohibit their development, production, and use. On January 13, 1993, as part of Operation Southern Watch, U.S., British, French, and other Allied forces conducted airstrikes against anti-aircraft artillery, AAA, and surface-to-air missile SAM sites in southern Iraq. These strikes enforced no-fly zones established after the Gulf War. On January 13, 2012, the passenger cruise ship Costa Concordia ran aground and partially sank off the coast of Italy near the island of Giglio. Negligence by the captain, Francesco Scatino, led to 32 confirmed deaths and widespread condemnation. On January 13, 2018, residents of Hawaii received a false emergency alert warning of an incoming missile strike, causing widespread panic. The alert was later confirmed to be a mistake caused by human error during a routine drill. On January 13, 2020, the Thai Ministry of Public Health confirmed the first case of COVID-19 outside China. This case marked the start of the virus's global spread, eventually leading to a worldwide pandemic. On January 13, 2021, outgoing U.S. President Donald Trump was impeached for a second time, this time on charges of incitement of insurrection following the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol. This made him the first U.S. president to be impeached twice.